Welcome to the How I Met Your Mother Superfans podcast. I'm your co-host James Hamilton, along with my good friend Chris Venezio.
Hello.
This is an in-depth discussion of the CBS comedy How I Met Your Mother. There will be spoilers. This podcast is intended for fans who've seen the entire series. After we introduce this week's episode, we'll watch the episode together and give our commentary. Chris, could you tell them how the commentary portion works?
Yeah, listeners at home can sync up our commentary with their TV, computer, or other streaming device. Go ahead and get the episode queued up. We'll tell you when to start the episode in a little bit. Also, I want to point out that each week James and I get so much out of discussing the episode. We learn more about the show, the characters, the production challenges, and ourselves. And that's why we really enjoy doing this, and we hope you enjoy it too.
That's right, Chris. And today we're watching Sandcastles in the Sand, which I'm calling Robin Sparkles 2 because it's the second in the Robin Sparkles saga.
Right.
This one's Season 3 episode 16, aired April 21st, 2008. And the last Robin Sparkles episode was in November of 2006, so fans had to wait about a year and a half to see Robin Sparkles 2.
That's right. Speaking of fans, how did we get to choosing this episode?
Well, we had a little poll on our website, and the fans gave them the choice of, do you want to follow the Slapbet trilogy or the Sandcastle, the Robin Sparkles trilogy? And they placed their votes, and then I decided to do Robin Sparkles.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So, coincidentally, this episode and the previous Robin Sparkles were both written by the same writer, Courtney Kang.
Yeah, that makes sense.
She wrote quite a few episodes. I think I probably talked about her before. She did Return of the Shirt and The Wedding in Season 1. A couple of my favorites. And then one or two a year each season after that.
For the rest of the series?
Yeah.
That's good.
Pretty kind of prolific as far as writers go.
Yeah, that's always good when you can stick with a series for quite a while like that. And those are some good episodes. And
I was searching for something to put under what's the only episode. I didn't really have something. I mean, Chris, do you have anything? Because I could say, it's the only one with the Sandcastles video, but I mean that's kind of a lame answer, isn't it?
Well, it's a little right on the nose.
Yeah.
Actually, I had this as the only episode with Michelle, and the only episode where Revertigo is mentioned.
Is it?
I don't have evidence of that, but that is what I think.
See, I thought Revertigo came back. I definitely have it as this is the first time we see Revertigo. This is the first time we see Punchy, who's barely in the episode. It's the first time we see Alan Thicke, and also just barely in the episode.
Yeah.
And of course, this is the first time we see Simon. This is kind of the Simon episode, the introduction to him.
Right. I also had the first episode with Murder Train. And that does actually come back in later episodes when Ted is fighting the goat. Murder Train plays. So there's that. Yeah, I also like that Alan Thicke gets a credit in this episode without having a spoken line. Although, I mean, if you invite Alan Thicke to your show, you give him a credit. But yeah, it's a Punchy. First use of Punchy. It's great. I'm glad he came back because it was a fun, silly character that I actually really like.
Punchy's kind of fun. Yeah. I kind of like Punchy, despite him, being a kind of annoying in the second episode he's in.
Yeah, he has his touching moment though, where he comes to New York, and at first it seems like he comes to New York to be a dick, and then it turns out that he came there because he was worried about Ted, and then he's kind of a dick again at his own wedding. So it comes around. He's fine. I'm glad he got more work with the show.
And, of course, this is the first episode where Barney and Robin actually hook up.
What?
Yeah! Yeah, in case you forgot, they do something kind of interesting in this episode. They do the intro with future Ted, but at the end, they sort of end on Barney and Robin, which I don't recall them doing that often. I feel like if they do a future Ted intro, they do a future Ted outro or something.
Yeah, usually.
Yeah. So I think you mentioned this before. Somewhere in the episode, they do this thing where they make a whole bunch of crude puns over and over, and they do a little montage of it.
Yeah.
They do it again in this episode. I think they did it in the last Robin Sparkles episode as well. Was that where... Do you remember it from that one as well?
I don't remember it in the first Robin Sparkles episode. I do remember it in the one with Scooby, which we looked at in Change of Heart. This is actually the first time that I remember them doing it, but they could have done it earlier. But it is something that they do periodically throughout the show, where, you see the one that took your maple leaf, you show them your "Oh Canada" face, things like that, and then they do that for quite a while. It's like the writers made too many jokes, and they're like, you know what, we're using all of them. We're just gonna have the gang, just go around to the table and come up with them.
Yeah. So this episode, not a whole lot as far as the timeline. They do flashback to Robin as a teenager, and I'm not sure how old Robin is, but if she's the same age as Ted, then she would have been 16 in 1994. So that kind of meets the timeline generally for when she was Robin Sparkles.
I broke my rule of not looking things up on the internet to look up her age in this episode for a different reason. So I'll go ahead and say that most sources say she was born in 1980, which would actually be 2 years after Ted.
Yeah. So that would mean she was 16 in 96, which still mid 90s. It doesn't matter. It's they get the period right, especially since they're mocking the 80s anyway.
Right.
So I didn't notice this till the very end of the episode until I watched it this time, Chris. At the end of the episode, Barney finds out about Sandcastles in the Sand, but when does the rest of the group?
I actually thought about that when I was watching the episode, because I was like, when does the rest of the group find out? And maybe they don't, because things get weird in the group after this episode, and
that's right.
People are probably not thinking about the video very much. So
yeah.
I have no idea when they find out about Sandcastles or when they ever see it. I'm actually not sure that it comes up a whole lot.
Let's Go to the Mall was definitely the more memorable one. That one gets a couple of mentions. But Sandcastles in the Sand does show up in the finale, or rather at the end of the aisle, and form a piano arrangement.
I did not catch that. I was probably too focused on other things.
I had to look that up. That one's a cheat for me as well. So.
I was probably too focused on the ring bear to pay attention to Sandcastles in the Sand.
Yeah. And then we got a lot of guest stars in this episode, but you know what? Let's save that for when they appear.
Okay.
So, did you have anything else you wanted to say before we do our sync up?
Well, do you want to talk about what's most memorable, or you want to just get into the episode?
Well, I'd say, I automatically think of the music video, but that's really just at the very end of the episode. I mean, this episode, to me, it's kind of about Robin coming to terms with who she is and, experiencing a little bit of nostalgia. And I guess if you had to stretch a story or a moral to the story out of it, it would be that, at a certain point in your life, you might find yourself looking into the past and feeling nostalgic for that. But you got to recognize that that's just a feeling of nostalgia, and that you should overcome that and accept who you are, And if you don't like who you are, take positive steps to change who you are, and don't just sort of try to hide in your own past.
Yeah, I agree, and I'll comment on that later because
It wasn't exactly a memorable moment, kind of a impromptu soliloquy, but
right. Well, I need to save my comments on that for the end, otherwise I'll spoil it. But
yeah,
what I had as most memorable is James Van Der Beek's performance.
yeah,
Because
absolutely.
the video happens too late. Much like I said that Robin Sparkle's video, Let's Go to the Mall, wasn't my most memorable part of Slapbet, or Robin Sparkles, because it happens so late in the episode and the slap bet's
Yeah,
so prominent. So my most memorable thing is James Van Der Beek's performance because he's fat, he's balding, he's hilarious, he nails the Canadian accent.
yeah, he's a jerk,
Mm-hmm.
and a slob and low class. And I'll also say this: I think Colby deserves a nod for her acting in this episode because there's moments where it's over the top and moments where it's just perfect, and then of course there's some touching emotional moments near the end.
Yeah, that is true.
So a
So,
lot of range for her in this episode,
yeah,
from
it is true.
cartoony to crying her eyes out.
Not usually happening on the show. If you haven't already, go ahead and cue up the commentary portion of the podcast. If your TV, computer, or other streaming device isn't ready to play, pause the podcast now and come back to us when you're ready.
Okay, everybody ready? Start the episode in 3, 2, 1, now. Just like I said, it starts in the future, but then they quickly do this recap.
Yeah, so the audience can remember that she's a Canadian pop star. But yeah, her life is very different in 2008. That's when this,
Yeah, some great clips. So it's amazing the kind of things Ted will tell his kids.
Well, maybe that one wasn't out loud. Who knows what he actually tells them about this episode? I don't know. He eventually says that she and Barney get married, so though they would already know that. So
Yeah. So here's James Van Der Beek before the opening credits.
before
Our
they
first guest
fatten him
star.
up,
Yeah.
he's got a mullet thing going on there.
It's of course from Greece.
Mm-hmm. Yep, here's the gang telling as many jokes as they can.
Yeah, the pun montage, as I've come to call it. You just say he's just not that Inuit. Woohoo!
I still use that as
Yeah.
as my go-to, like when I don't have a good joke, but I know that there's a joke there somewhere. I'll say like something about the punchline.
Yeah. So the other characters commented on Robin's boobs, but she also got her hair did.
Yes. I didn't notice this in the multiple times I've been watching this episode recently, but there are a ton of empty bottles on that table.
Oh yeah. I definitely noticed the bottles in this episode. And also here, real quick, check out, you can see the Four Skins poster in the background. And it is not spelled as I thought it would be.
Yeah, I also had a comment about that it is spelled like the circumcision kind of foreskin,
Yeah.
not like four dudes who play without their shirts on.
Yeah.
So, he's not very smart.
No. It could just be him being dumb.
Yeah, but about those bottles on the table, not only does that mean they've had quite a lot to drink, but also the waitstaff is not doing their job.
Yeah, I wonder if they just put those bottles on there sort of to show you the passage of time when they were telling all those bad puns.
Ah.
And now they've committed to it through the entire episode.
Right. It's a storytelling device.
He does have a pretty rad band, though.
Yeah, you like the wood paneling on the inside?
Yeah. That is pretty cool that she loaded the drum set.
Yeah, after he broke up with her. Yeah, it's hard to have self-respect, though, when you're 16.
Yeah. So this whole winning, losing the breakup thing, I dated someone once who I was the new guy, and she posted something about winning or losing the breakup. So it was something that girls do.
Oh, I do it.
Yeah.
There's, after a breakup, breakups are hard, and it's just really, really great when you win it.
Yeah.
Just really it just launches you right into a good place so you can get out there and meet new people with confidence because you clearly won the breakup.
Yeah.
Yeah, the long intro. Or at least it felt like it.
Yeah. And I love that that little "oh my god" moment.
Yeah. That's her first bout of her vertigo there.
Yeah.
She's 16 again.
Yeah. And then immediately in the next scene, you'll see her playing with her hair.
Yep.
There it is.
Yeah, I like this here where he pulls the beer can out. Because they don't show it on camera, but that is clearly a Labatt Blue.
Oh, yeah. And a tall boy. Or a 24-ouncer, right?
I don't know. That was big. Yeah, I don't...
It was a big beer.
It was. I'm not... Yeah, probably 24.
I thought that was a pretty hick move.
I don't often buy giant beer cans, so I'm not sure. But yeah, I bet that's 24. It's definitely not a 40.
Yeah. So there's a few details there that don't make sense, like their relationship being all summer and being a week and a half, but her remembering it so fondly, and the fact that they make all these Canada winter jokes, but they don't really mention that he works at a water park.
Yeah. Well, maybe they're immune to cold, but
Yeah.
other than that, yeah. It is strange that they would have water parks in Canada at all in this show, because in the How I Met Your Mother universe, it's just freezing cold there all the time.
Yeah, and of course in reality they do, but they certainly aren't open all year round.
I'm sure they're not. I mean, in this show, Canada's one step colder than Minnesota, which is shown as it's like a frozen tundra on like summer vacation, I think, in one episode. He's on summer vacation, Marshall is, and he's in a tent and there's snow everywhere. So yeah, it's like, and Canada's colder than that because it's one step further north.
Yeah. Well, she's bringing back a little bit of the Canadian accent here, but not too much.
Right. Just a little slight revertigo there.
And they finally get to the Robin Sparkles thing. They just tease it here.
Yeah. Here's Barney's reaction. I like that he has the thing memorized. Yeah, when he says he's watched it 1,000 times, he's probably not exaggerating.
Yeah. We know he's obsessed. Now, this speech by Barney, why did he think that this would be convincing to Robin at all?
Right, and he gets what he deserves at the end of it.
Yeah. I love that. Okay.
Yeah. Knock yourself out.
Yeah.
He also says overseas phone calls in that speech, and it's possible that he meant someone overseas might have a tape of the music video, or this could be another one of those classic moments where Barney pretends that Canada is not connected to the U.S.
Oh, yeah. I hadn't thought of that. I was assuming he would talk to his, South Asian bootleg source.
Yeah, and that could be what it is. He did get a bunch of that Canadian porn from actual overseas. Yeah, I think it was South Asian vendor that sold him all the Canadian porn when he was trying to find the "Let's Go to the Mall" video.
Yeah.
Here's where they actually started talking about Revertigo.
Yeah, the invention of Revertigo and Barney's line, "Michelle, she sounds hot."
Yeah.
It is something I picked up in our group. If anyone mentioned a new person by name, I'd be like, "She sounds hot."
Ah, yes. Yeah. And sometimes she was.
Yes.
There's a couple game references coming up here real shortly. It's a Mortal Kombat moment. Followed by Pac-Man.
Yeah. Wah, wah.
He doesn't even live in New York. I don't know what she's even thinking.
Yeah, it's doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I'm just here for a few days. You want to go on a date?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if it's a hookup thing, then it is what it is. But I don't know. She seems like she wants more. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Who cares about Robin? This is hilarious. Yeah, we need Michelle around all the time.
Yeah. But except Robin is not impressed by Michelle. Look at that.
Well, Robin does get jealous when Lily has other women around. We see that in season 9.
Oh, that is true. And the Barney's thing where he says, "I might consider not sleeping with her," and then immediately says, "I've decided to seduce her."
Mm-hmm.
That's another joke I like to pick up.
Yeah, I've heard you do that.
Continue among the group.
Yes. There's
decided to seduce the waitress.
It's her name's not Wendy the waitress. Yeah, Barney, though not a big part of this episode until the end, does get a ton of funny moments. Those are the game, the video game jokes, the Mortal Kombat, and the Pac-Man, anything with Michelle just sounds hot.
Yeah.
The running out of the bar and like sliding, because you can't get there fast enough to start looking. They did give him at least some funny things to do in the episode.
Yeah, some physical comedy and a lot of jokes.
There's the murder train.
Murder train. So, it does come back, and I have the names of the episodes that come back in, but I don't know what seasons they're on. But it comes back in The Fight, The Leap, I think The Leap's in season 4, The Rough Patch, and Mystery vs. History.
Very cool. Yeah, it does come back a lot.
Yeah.
I remember The Leap, and The Fight is the one with the goat? No, the fight is with the bartender.
Yeah. Yeah, with Doug, the barback bouncer.
I'm surprised the goat didn't... Oh, The Leap. That's The Leap, is the one where he actually fights the goat. Because the episode called The Goat actually was a red herring.
Yeah.
The episode is a red herring. Ted just forgot because he's had too many sandwiches. But
yeah.
Here's Punchy.
Yeah. So yeah, introduction of Punchy, and if you notice, Ted is wearing his Cleveland Indians shirt in the bar.
Right.
So in a way, his wardrobe's getting a little bit of a vertigo.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Talking about Punchy made him a little nostalgic for Ohio.
Yeah. For the tribe.
That's right. The tribe. Their beloved, albeit very racist-looking Chief Wahoo.
Yeah. And also, Punchy's one line was something about his dad. And they don't tell you what happened to his dad, but his dad shows up later at Punchy's wedding, so he got better.
Yeah, he got better, or they forgot that they did that in his intro. But yeah, see, I do remember... Oh, this is a funny scene. Ted...
Watch Josh's face.
Yes! Yeah, exactly. I don't know if he did that on purpose, or if he accidentally broke there for a moment, but... Yeah, Lily's being a mom, and
Ted's just being the scared sibling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he thinks it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Right there, anyway. He should be scared. Marshall's about to snap at him.
Yeah.
Same van, same bumper stickers.
Oh, yeah.
And now she sounds really Canadian, even though she's still in New York. Although I suppose going to Canada wouldn't give her accent back necessarily. It's not a geography thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, Punchy's dad, I don't know, they implied that he died in that scene to me, but...
That's what it seemed like, yeah.
But I guess, it was something bad that happened, and it was really sudden, but they weren't specific, so I guess he can come back.
Yeah, he got better.
Mm-hmm. Louise Marsh again. This is the same woman.
Well, there is the jacuzzi. I assume is Simon for jacuzzi.
Right. Could be Canadian. I don't know.
Yeah. And here's Michelle.
Mm-hmm. Right.
She is fun to have around.
Mm-hmm.
And of course the reveal that she has the vertigo as well.
Now, I tried to look up associative regression, and
yeah, what'd you find?
A whole bunch of stuff about How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah?
It does not appear from my original searching to be an actual psychological thing. But it makes sense that you regress associatively with another person or object.
Yeah.
Something triggers a regression. I'm cool with just calling it vertigo.
Yeah. So now we're transitioning into the touching part of the episode, and this is you notice Ted was the last person to leave, but even Ted left here.
Yeah, Ted left her by herself.
Yeah.
Surprised she didn't go with him or go home. It's actually a little sad by itself that she stayed there.
But, it had to happen so that Barney could come back and say, I'm still looking for the tape.
Right.
And
yeah.
They could have this emotional moment here. And Robin's sobbing. She gives this nice little speech that's, to me, it's the most honest moment in the episode. And she shares her deepest feelings. And it's kind of a nice end cap,
Yeah.
If only we were all so blessed to be so self-aware.
Yeah, that's true. But I guess at least at this point, the self-awareness didn't really do her any good, and she still got hurt. I guess it can help her next time. But also, this pep talk from Barney probably doesn't hurt. This actually seems very genuine from both of them.
Yeah.
Robin talking about her feelings, and Barney here doesn't seem like he's doing a play. He still seems like himself, but
Yeah.
it does seem very genuine as well, which is weird coming from him.
Yeah, and it was that transitional moment right when he first appeared. He came back and he was still the self-centered jerk obsessed with the tape. And once he saw Robin was actually crying, he stopped making fun of her and he came over and comforted her. And it made
Right.
sense.
It's true. It was good. And here's multiple switcheroos, where at
Yeah,
first you think they're talking about sex, but they're actually talking about the video.
yeah.
And then, once the video's over, there's another switcheroo that I won't ruin. I basically already did.
So Barney's line, should I just stick it in? Surprisingly dirty.
It is, but then this video has a bunch of dirty stuff in it too, or at least implicit
Yeah,
stuff that doesn't really seem like prime time. It's more explicit than even like an innuendo of, should I just stick it in? Like
yeah,
where Robin literally says, "I'm on the pill now."
yeah.
It's a little not safe for network TV.
Yeah, it's a romantic ballad about teenage sexual activity
Right.
and de-virgining. So it's we get to see the bits of the video here, but if you own the DVD, the season 3 DVD, not only do you get to see the video in its entirety, you can see it in period appropriate 4:3 aspect ratio.
Yeah, because right now it's a little bigger than that.
And I suppose they haven't released How I Met Your Mother in high definition Blu-ray, but if you were gonna intentionally make something set in the 90s, you'd have to make sure it's standard definition, which probably be a challenge actually nowadays.
It probably looks strange, if nothing else, compared to the regular episode.
Yeah.
There's the robot.
Oh, did we miss Alan Thicke's entire cameo? I blinked.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
He was reading Canada Today,
Oh,
which I am going to hope
sure, that's a real thing.
Yeah, is real as McGregor's Steakhouse
Yeah.
and the Glenn McKenna.
So yeah, it's pretty obvious.
And there's another switcheroo. And you're like, what? And then it's the end of the episode, and it's a cliffhanger, and you have no idea what's happening next.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of an unusual ending. And if you just start the next episode on your DVD or your Netflix, you'll see them in Robin's bed the morning
Right.
after.
Yep.
So kind of a landmark episode in that it was the first time they hooked up, and of course it's a violation of the bro code, and that's dealt with later in the series. And Barney says he records all his sexual encounters, and has implied in other episodes that he has a video recording of this encounter, which is either a continuity error because it happened at Robin's place, or Barney was doing something especially creepy and, had his phone out or something, which doesn't sound like him.
He recorded himself with his phone when he nailed Shannon for the first time.
Yeah, that is true, but
in game night. Well,
I think this is a softer Barney, though. I don't think it seems like what he did to Shannon was definitely revenge motivated,
right.
and I think I choose to believe that when he's commenting about that in future episodes, he's just teasing.
Yeah, well, what I remember is when he tries to blackmail her, say that he has a tape of them doing it, and she's like, "No, you don't." He's like, "Well, do you really want to find out?" And then she goes along with his plan, which is to try to get, what's his name? Warmpus. What's Warmpus's first name?
Uh, Randy.
Randy. Yes, tries to help Randy to be a better wingman, because in the fallout of Ted and Barney not being friends anymore, Barney needs to get a new wingman, so he recruits Randy, but he's terrible, and when he gets an erection, his nose bleeds, and so yeah, Barney blackmails Robin into letting him practice on her
Oh, yes, that's right.
by saying that there's a tape, and she's not sure that there isn't a tape.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to find out. Well, enough about Randy. What is everybody else doing in this episode?
Well, Chris, we talked about this earlier. This episode is pretty much a Robin episode. It's a little bit of Robin Barney and a little bit of Robin Simon. But Ted, Lily, and Marshall pretty much just there to tell jokes and encourage and be the voice of reason for Robin. Telling her that Simon's a dog or a scrub, as Michelle would say.
Right.
But and Barney's there for the jokes and as you've noticed the physical comedy, but also he searches for the tape, and that ultimately leads him to the Robin's bed.
Right. Yeah, she was pretty vulnerable there. Yeah, I had that Ted has the ongoing Revertigo debate with Marshall. It's kind of funny where Marshall really thinks it's called Revertigo, and he's really excited that Michelle's studying behavioral psychology. And he's like, Revertigo? Like, it would just really make his day if that was actually what it was called. And Ted is absolutely sure that it's not called that, and that's about all they're doing in this episode.
Yeah. Robin, of course, is, I think her speech at the bar was kind of exemplifies her journey in this episode. She wanted to be with Simon, sort of because of these surface feelings about her life, and because she's a fictional character, as soon as she was dumped by Simon again, she immediately recognized her deeper feelings of nostalgia and vulnerability, and is able to move on from that.
Yeah, like you said, we should all be so lucky
to
have such self-awareness. But, well, if we're going to talk about Robin and Simon and how couldn't we in this episode, it's just as good a time as any to do Chris's life lessons from How I Met Your Mother. In this episode, Robin experiences Revertigo when Simon comes to New York. She's clearly too good for him, but she can't see it because when she's around him, all her feelings of inadequacy come back from the first time they dated. Barney tries to convince her that she's not the same person and that she's much more awesome now at 27 than she was at 16. In life, Revertigo can bring up all kinds of feelings, and some aren't as funny as Lily's. If being around someone brings up unpleasant feelings from the past, just remember that you're so much more awesome now than when you first felt those feelings. And if you're still feeling vulnerable, remember that sleeping with your ex's really good friend is only going to make you feel better for the short term. This has been another Chris's Life Lessons from How I Met Your Mother.
Very good advice. Thank you so much, Chris. I really like this episode. The last thing I wanted to say is I noticed that the love seduction ballad that Robin presumably wrote as Robin Sparkles was sort of meant to help her seduce Simon. If you kind of pay attention to the lyrics in the second half of the song, and she gets really obvious with "I'm on the pill now," come on, let's do it.
Yes.
I'm willing, and it's sort of like a 16-year-old girl's version of a seduction poem, and it didn't work on Simon, but worked years later on Barney, sort of.
That's true.
Kind of.
Yeah, well, the Sandcastles in the Sand is definitely about that. It just hits you over the head with it. Yeah, with the "I'm on the pill now," and her like leaning backwards into the sand and saying, "I'm ready to go all the way." You can't really interpret that as anything else. But yes, it's a song about her, as far as I can tell, trying to seduce Mr. Teen Winnipeg.
Yeah.
And him not being into it, I guess, or having other better options, and then that mirrors their actual real life relationship where they dated, and he's like, nah, you're pretty good, but I'm gonna go find somebody else. She has a pool.
Yeah.
And then yes, it does end up working on Barney. I guess after he watches it a dozen times or so.
Yeah. Yeah, he finally gets it.
She juices somebody.
So next up in the Robin Sparkles quadrilogy, we're going to take a little stop over in Little Minnesota, where Robin Sparkles mentioned only, but I think it's worth a look because it introduces the Hoosier Hut. Or the Hoosier Hut? Not the Hoosier Hut. The Hoser Hut.
Yeah, those are two very different huts.
Yeah, they are. Don't mix those up.
Yeah, one is the Indiana hut.
Yeah.
The Hoser Hut, yeah, that's true. That is definitely a Robin Sparkles episode, at least at the very end, where Marshall does the karaoke and everybody knows the words.
Yeah. And then, of course, Season 6 Glitter.
Yep.
Also a good punchy episode, so look forward to that one.
Oh,
and then,
right. Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, and then Season 9, P.S. I Love You,
right.
is the finale of the Robin Sparkles storyline.
Or Robin Daggers.
That's right, yeah.
That's funny that they tied the punchy episodes and the Robin Sparkles episodes together like that.
Yeah.
Like common themes. Actually, the next episode that we're going to do, as we take a brief break in between the Robin Sparkles episodes, Robots vs. Wrestler, also has a bunch of themes tied together in that way. And we'll be doing that next week.
Yeah. Hey guys, I can't thank you enough for putting up with us for another episode. I'm really enjoying taking such a deep look at this show. We hope you're enjoying it. We'd love to hear from you. Email us at himymsuperfans@gmail.com. That's it for today, folks. I've been James.
I've been Chris.
It's been a pleasure. From all of us here at Metro News 1, Barnacle out. Music by Kevin MacLeod.